Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll also open up the public hearing for the budget. And start with the approval of the agenda.
With adding, I'd like to re-add the decline situation from the last meeting back on there.
Business?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a motion to change with an addition of Cape Line sewer issue back on. I'm going to finish business. Second. Motion and second. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next is the approval of the minutes from February 17th. Motion and second. Any discussion? That was what was the motion? Which number was that for? Good.
Six.
Make sure it's related to that. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor to approve the minutes from February 17th, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Both same sign. Motion carried. Next up is approval of the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Motion and second. Do we have any comments or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Both same sign. Motion carried. Okay, supervisor's report. Things. First one, just to note that the community cleanup is scheduled for May 2nd. Those who pay their water sewer bills, make sure they have your stuff out the night, no earlier than the night before, and you're limited to basically one pickup load out there. I do want to maybe make a note that the public's aware. We mentioned it a couple more times that they see people from bringing stuff in from outside the community, they need to notify the police. Because I'm pretty sure a lot of stuff was coming in, especially if it's at night. So we need to make sure we try to stop that, because it costs us a lot of money to deal with that. I don't believe there's that many people have that much garbage year after year after year after year. I got an email, and I spoke with a gentleman from a company called Verida. They're doing work for a Spectrum this summer, and they wanted a place to be able to store some of their equipment and the materials that they're going to use. So it's similar to what we tried to do with Mastec last year. The same idea. They're looking at the same place. Their need is not quite as great for the amount of property. The property that they're looking for. So I sent them the information based on the lease offer we gave to Mastec last year, and said if you're only going to use half the property, then we will only charge you half that amount. It's basically the square footage issue. So let them take a look at that. I should hear from them pretty soon. I just wanted to let everybody know. Hopefully by the next meeting we'll have something to discuss and vote on. And then the other thing I want to discuss, we brought this up in the fall prior to NEMSA taking over when the Kinross employees were still under Kinross, the EMS employees. And then we had a question about the payment in lieu of for their insurance. And our current policy in Kinross is that they have to work on March 31st to be eligible to collect their payment in lieu. They requested that we reconsider that option and do a prorated payment. Some back and forth to our lawyer, and I had some communication with them until the middle of December, and for some reason I apologize, I dropped the ball on that. However, the response back was we have the cafeteria plan we have in place, and that's what we should follow. And that's doesn't mean we can't amend it, and it was recommended that if we wanted to amend it to allow for that to happen, then they would be glad to work with us to draw up the amendment to do that. What I'd like to know from the board is, do you want me to pursue that further? I will email the lawyer tomorrow and ask them to help us with the amendment to that. To help these guys. It wasn't by their fault that they're not employed by Kinross Township. I think it's something we should consider. We'll leave that to the board to give me direction where to go. I'm pretty sure I can have something we can make a decision by the next board meeting. But I need to know what direction we're going to go.
I would say look into it.
I've looked into it. This is what he's told me. I mean, if you want me to follow through, it just says the plan says they do not get credit unless they work to the end of the plan. Let me know if you would like me to work on amended language to effectuate a prorated payment to those whose employment will end on 1/3/26. So we still have time before the end of the year, and it'd be a little easier to deal with now than it would be to wait until after the fiscal year's over with. I'm just checking to see if I'm supposed to try and get a number of people who are affected and get that number. I think it's 11 people were affected.
You said like 14 or.
It could be a little more, but there was quite a few that were affected by having that option. So I guess, do you want me to continue and go with the lawyer and see if we can get an amendment and then bring it back to the board?
I would say yes.
Is anybody against me doing that?
No.
All right, then I will do that, and I'll have something for the next meeting to come back from that. Excuse me. Let's go something good on camera. Okay, so that's all I have for the supervisor's notes in regards to that. Next up is public comment, limited to 3 minutes per person, and related to the current agenda. Anybody want to step forward and ask questions? Nobody? Once, twice. All right. Unfinished business, fire department. The only thing I have to report there, they haven't started work yet. I think they're still waiting for something. I'm not sure what. Dave said he would start as soon as he could. Maybe they're waiting for the weather to warm up just a little bit, but we're maybe waiting until the load limits are off the roads, which could be another month to 2 months. He did say he was going to fight this thing started clearing up. We did have the electrician that he hired came in and let us know that he was doing his application for service with Cloverland. Needed some information on that. So that's been completed. I got an email notification on that just recently. It's a $25 charge. He's going to charge it back to the construction company. They'll go from that point forward.
Can I add that food waste is open for them also, and then my office is too for them to start moving stuff in.
So hopefully, I don't know, they got a fire person here. Do you know when you guys are going to start?
I think it's tomorrow.
Yeah, this month.
Okay.
Yeah. Not the trucks will be like the last minute,
Yeah.
but they'll start getting his office equipment and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So, okay. Nothing new on NEMSA. I guess I could just to share, just because we just had a meeting recently. One of the things we have to look at is when we agreed to the payments and stuff last year, they came to us and asked if we extend our payments, add a few months of the payments, because what they were worried about is in the first 3 to 4 months, not having enough money to pay their bills because they weren't getting enough money in on their bill. And that became a reality in the last month. They were down less than $40,000. That was changing, but they did ask the townships if they could maybe pay a few payments ahead, just to keep going. We still have quite a bit, but with our taxes coming in, we could pay the whole thing off if we want. But I talked to Mike, and we want to wait until after April 1st, but I want to let you guys know that they're looking for that. It's just to help keep them solid until their billing all starts coming in. They were waiting on the federal stuff, and it just got approved here just recently. So, can't make me nervous. Always tell them. Can't. All right. So anyway, that's what they're doing. Also, one of the trucks prior to them taking over, that was still in our possession, was destroyed. And we think we're just getting that all finalized, right? That's all being finished up. We got to pay for that. And it'll be taken to Copart, we know it. AT&T lease, nothing new on that. Verizon lease, I got a conversation with Lynn Rush, and I can give you the information she's shared with us. She wants to offer us a one-time $450,000 to have that money all up front. Another thing, it doesn't say what the length of time is, if it's 50 years, 100 years, whatever. Either way, I don't think that's a good deal for us. Then the other one was to look at the short-term deal like we've been doing, and they are requesting that we consider a new rent amount of $1,800 a month, starting in June 1st of 2029, and then the rest escalator would be 15% every 5 years. So it would be every 5 years it would increase, and then do 4 additional 5-year renewal terms. We currently have a monthly payment that they pay us of $2,419.05 with an annual 3% increase, and there's an end date, it's just every 5 years. But there's not an extension. I think this is our last extension that they got. And I informed Ms. Rush at that time that I was pretty sure the board was not going to accept that, just based on our dealing with AT&T. And that we also would be working this through our lawyer to do that. And I told them that we would be sending them a memorandum of agreement for proposed legal fees with them. Just to, she was like, well, we don't have to go there. We don't know if we're going to do that. So, well, we've done it before. So this is what we're going to be doing, and we won't be negotiating without that process being taken care of. So first of all, on the board, do you want to accept their offer, first of all?
I don't think we should accept anything less than what we're getting right now. Because that's almost starting all the way at the beginning from when we first started the lease, because that was $1,500.
I guess first thing is, then we're going to make a motion to accept their offer.
Make a motion to decline it.
You can do that. If you want to make that, you can make that your motion. Just need support.
I will support that.
Any further discussion on that? No further discussion. All those in favor of declining the current offer from Verizon, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. We will not accept their offer.
Actually, I did have a discussion. I would like, kind of wondered what their term is for how long the lump sum. I mean, is that
AT&T's was for like 99 years or something
years.
like
This
that.
one has no end.
They have no end date on their offer.
There's not a 50-year, 99.
It's like 20 years.
It's like a.
Maybe.
Well, based on our monthly,
I did some.
we'd have that eaten up within 5 years, based on what we get right now. So we would actually end up losing. So it wouldn't be worth it at our end of it to deal with that. We'd do better overall. So, but to do it we'd have to, even a 50-year, you're not talking anywhere close to what we're getting now.
No.
And I don't think they're going to go, they don't have anything on there, but I assume it's going to be more than 25 years. Because they're looking for it just to be able to do it and not have to bother us anymore. Or us bother them, I suppose. So next up, I want to submit a motion to present them with a memorandum of agreement regarding legal fees This is a standard thing we've been doing over the last few years with AT&T and Verizon. Just asking them that they provide a deposit in the sum of $5,000 to help cover legal fees, and if any kind of legal fees, deposit is applied to legal fees and it's reduced below 500, then they'll immediately deposit a sum of 1,000 with the owner to be held in accordance with this agreement. Basically, it's this.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. So I'll make sure we get signed and sent to her tomorrow. All right, Verizon 4-H. We had a meeting 2 days after. I don't know, board meeting.
Let's see.
What day was it?
16.
I don't know, before you left. Right before you left. 17th.
18?
18th. Either way, what we discussed, we talked with oh man, I can't remember his name now, from MSU Extension,
Matt Shane.
then Aaron, who's from the UGP MSU Extension, Matt from Lansing. And we talked a lot about what the lease said, represented what we thought, that if we couldn't come up with an agreement, we'd turn the property back over. They didn't seem to be real interested in having the property back, because they don't really deal with property outside of what's connected to their universities, or their programs that already exist. So they wanted, basically what it boiled down to is that they agreed that we should be doing this all for free. We should be looking at, something that works out for both parties. So they asked us to put together a list of what we would like to see in the lease. So we haven't had a chance to work on it yet, but Gina will be working on that to go over the lease, see what we want to see different, how we want it to work out. So the question really becomes down to is what are we willing to do depending on what building they put together. If they had a building that maybe had an opportunity for us to run it out, is it something we're going to continue to do to help provide money to help cover the cost, or are we going to ask them to put all the costs together for maintaining the building? And that's what it comes down to. If we're not going to have any use of it, I agree we should have to pay for that facility in any way, shape, or form. So
I think where we left off with the 4-H was they were interested in doing, if there was going to be a building involved, something very small scale that they could do their activities out of. And then they were also kind of agreeable to the fact that the rest of the insurance proceeds could be used to maintain the leased premises for well into the future. With the understanding that, the township's position is really trying to reduce expenses at the fairgrounds. So, the preliminary stuff that we put together as a township is just kind of everybody saying, this is what we would like, and then, working to find some sort of agreement, a new agreement, getting rid of the old agreement that's agreeable to all parties.
what do you want to say, Matt?
It's
Okay.
covered.
It's covered.
That's
where we were at. We had quite a long discussion.
Yeah.
In fact, it was so long, a couple of people get antsy about it now because we have 3 people. Worried about bridge closures and stuff. Well, I thought it went pretty well. They were pretty, they couldn't believe that the lease was what it was either. They could not believe who would have actually signed a lease like that at that time. Nobody
Right.
signs a lease like
And
that.
they also said they work in other complicated situations where they have, 4-H clubs will have access to a building on property that they have no surrounding property, and they work with easements and things like that to get it. So while it seems like a strange situation, it's unique in its own ways, but it's not foreign to them.
Right.
And they did very clearly state that neither 4-H or MSU Extension has any interest in owning land or buildings. So I do think we have probably a little bit of leverage in that regard if we are willing to be stewards of the leased premises in the future, that we would be able to negotiate something that works in our benefit.
And if they're agreeable to a little more modest building with
Yeah.
They seem to be
Saving
pretty,
the funds, the leftover funds for.
Yeah, well, they don't have the resources to take care of a building either, a large scale building.
I think that makes the most sense.
I have a meeting, I think it's next week, that I'll go to their council meeting, we'll further discuss what options they want to look at. And I might just leave it up to them to just start working on, they're going to have to redo the engineer things and figure that stuff out.
Oh, yeah, and Mark did ask if MSU Extension would help with any sort of resources if it did come to planning a building or something like that. And they thought maybe they would shake the bushes and ask around, but it didn't sound like we were going to get any help.
Right.
Like if we did agree to building X, then, like putting the plans together for that, sounds like that would be something that, we would have to work on our own part.
Yeah, that's kind of where we left off in that. I'll put it here, the supervisor, but I went to the Fair Board meeting last week. And I think I helped, not as bad, I think I helped clear up some of there's a lot of misconception about what was going on here in Kinross with the Fair Board. And I was sitting there just listening, I was like, why did this get so far off the rails? So I asked this put out there what it is we were looking for as a township, what we were concerned about, and I think I got through to most of them. I don't think anybody had any questions after that created a problem for us.
I'm sure it will come up.
They will. But I also mentioned that I emailed Ben what I'd like to see some changes in our memo of understanding and to try to help us alleviate our budget a little bit. And things I asked for. And again, this is just what I've asked him to review and for the board to make their decision on is we only get 50% of the camping fees for 51 camping sites. So I asked, trying to be not overly greedy, but I asked for 25% of 303 camping sites. So that more than almost tripled what we would be getting from there. And I also asked them to consider $1 per car parking to come back to the township. So how they want to figure it out. I figured between those it was about $14,000, $15,000. So I'm leaving it in Ben's hands right now. So it's
Yeah, there's other stuff. There was fees on top of what we were getting outside of the agreement, so we were going through all that and we'll get back with it.
we did some questions on sewage fees and things like that. I was talking about.
Yeah, there was storage and there was some rental stuff. And, what would be your opinion if we were to propose a fixed number instead of a percentage of a fixed number? So every year you get, your whatever we come up with, 5, 6, 7, whatever.
A fixed number is easy to budget.
But it's easier for us to budget too. We know every year we're gonna have to pay X amount for it.
I think the fixed, in my opinion, a fixed budget works as long as it's benefits us in a way that we're not losing out. Like we feel like we're losing out now.
I understand.
Working whatever that number's going to be is what we need to figure out.
We're not even trying to find a fixed number if you guys aren't even mind that.
I'm not going to speak for the board. I'll speak for myself. Is anybody opposed to a fixed number?
Some numbers and more information first before agreeing to something.
I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I would, like to see some numbers.
Oh, yeah.
And would a fixed number hurt you? You know what I mean? So like, if you don't bring in what you were expecting, that fixed number still has to get paid.
There's always that potential. There is. But it's easier for us to know that every year we're gonna have X amount that's gonna have to be paid out. Right.
And the question of why I asked, so that way, we're expecting this money to come in, but yet you don't have it, then that's going to affect that budget too. You know what I mean?
Well, truthfully, we're a good agreeable amount on both sides, but
Right.
be one that we know we can figure in.
Right. Like you said, we got to get the numbers first and figure that out.
Right. And we're working on that currently.
I think the board, it sounds like they'd be agreeable to a fixed number. We'll work on the negotiation part of it. I start seeing some figures.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, we're working on it.
Wasn't there some questions on some of the insurance stuff? on
Yeah, I think we've got it almost figured out. I still got a couple things, but they've actually got 3 buildings that they're required to insure. But every time they put up a building, the agreement was that they would take care of the insurance and the maintenance and things like that. So the building, I guess I'll probably share that too. The buildings they wish that they want to put up would be the same. Any new building they put up, that's the agreement. And that started with Jim Moore. He just basically told them, as long as you're paying for it, it doesn't cost me money. I don't care what you do. I've adjusted that a little bit. We care what they do. We want to work with them on that. We were trying to move further. That's why I didn't bring it back up this meeting with the location. They made a decision at their meeting last week that they were going to wait till next year to apply for the grant. So this will give us more time to look at what's there and how we want to proceed, because there's a couple of questions that Ben had that I had that we're going to go back to and take a look at and find out what works best for both parties all the way around. So,
No sense rushing into it and making mistakes
too many hasty decisions.
causing problems.
So that'll be worked on. That was, yes, it's part of that, the insurance thing. I still think there might be 2 buildings that might be double insured, but I'm still trying to figure it out. Like the paperwork I got from Mike was, these numbers don't match these numbers, but then I got to look, well, this will maybe, so I still haven't figured all that out. But maybe not. There's only 3 that they're required to insure, according to the contract, or to the minimum understanding. So, but it'll be on them. We've made that clear. All right, nothing to really vote on there, so next is the, what I wanted to add on the Kip Klein sewer issue, and to make it simple, what she'd like to do is put a time limit on him providing the documentation. We did not put a time limit.
And I haven't received anything from him since the initial meeting when we approved anything, so I hate to see this last for 6 months. I'd rather say 30 days. Whatever we have receipts for, we'll reimburse for, but within 30 days.
Motion.
I'll make that motion for putting a time limit for 30 days.
30 days from now, or 30 days from your last meeting?
The last meeting we said,
So 2 more weeks, so yeah.
we'll do 3. Unless somebody's got something different.
Well, the only thing is, he's not here to notify him of.
I was
2 more.
going to say, is somebody will let him
It
know
would almost
this?
have to be.
Yeah,
30
we'll
days.
email him and let him know.
It'd have to be 30 days from
This
this
meeting?
meeting. This is when we came up with that.
That's contrary.
Well, I'd rather see 2 weeks, but out of fairness,
I did mention it to him today when we stopped in the office, but
Right.
he also knew that at the last meeting that we were requiring that. We didn't get any, I have not gotten a single receipt, so.
I think it's fair 30 days from today instead of, oh, he didn't pay us in 2 weeks, when he didn't even know that there was 2 weeks on the deadline.
Okay, so we have a motion to
Just out of fairness.
provide a limit to, or a time limit for Kip to turn in his receipts for this sewage issue. So he has 30 days from today's date. Motion, is there a second? Motion is second. We have any additional comments?
I thought there was a second already.
It's all right. You jump right in. That's probably my fault too. And then we have motion and second on this. Do we have any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. New business, lab operator hire. This is you.
Can I speak up for it? So Stevie retired on April 3rd. I'd like to get someone in place now so that we can, so that person has an opportunity to get trained enough to work weekends so we don't cause overtime and shortages possibly for upcoming holidays. So plus we're looking at another retirement 2 months later. So if we don't do this a little bit at a time, which is only a month, and we're not looking at replacing the person, so there'll be no extra cost on the budget. The money's still there. So,
You have, this was an in-house posting first, and we had one.
yeah, just one application. Everyone's very interested.
Gene Chambers. And he has required licenses.
All but one.
And he's studying for his D.
Yep, just the sewage, that's the only one he's gonna work on, but he already has the required water.
This is your recommendation?
Yes.
I'll move.
I'll second.
A motion and a second, do we have any other discussion? What's his rate gonna be, starting out? Does he get a bump for going in there?
It'll be, yeah, he'll probably move to the top of the scale, because on the top of the scale where he is now maintenance, so I'm assuming, without looking at the numbers, he will probably be on the top of the scale for the operator.
Any other discussion?
What's this timeline for the other license?
2 years. 2 years to get your D. He's already got the second one, actually, so the first one is required under the D. The normal, the water comes after that, as required.
You have the licenses though, right, that
Oh, yeah.
can take care of it, so it's not like we're going short a license.
It's just, it's the township policy.
Right.
That he have that to hold the position. We're okay either way with mine.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of hiring Gene Chambers to be the lab operator, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, pose same sign. Motion's carried. Review camp post, Paula Moody was asked to come back with our camp post again. I'll make that motion to let her come back and hear our camp post.
I'll support it, but the only thing I want clarification on is she is requesting to turn it back into 2. I would still like it to be just 1. It's easier for Katie to do all the paperwork and everything, as if we ran the same way we did last year. I'm not opposed to him doing like the work orders and stuff, but
We can work on that further. Basically, instead of having 2 camp posts, 2 that we've agreed to, we've got 1, and she brings in somebody else who run the other camp, subcontracts that out. And all he does is just get the same rate from the other campground, but she's the one that's responsible for the whole campgrounds. He can get, there's no reason he can't do the other little paper, it goes along with that. Another motion, do we have a second?
I seconded it.
Why, did I make the motion? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you
I
did.
made it, you second, my bad. And that's why, you said that one of the motions. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next up is reimbursement to the fire fund. In September 2025, the fire fund paid $65,000 to AWC Construction to pay for surveying and engineering fees in the fire hall project. October 2025, the Township Board passed Resolution 2025-21, which authorized the issuance of bonds to finance construction of the fire hall. Part of that resolution, the Township declared its intent to reimburse costs of the project financed by the Township from the proceeds of the capital improvement bonds. Requesting the Township Board to approve reimbursement of $65,000 from the capital improvement bond proceeds back to the fire fund. And I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Both same sign. Motion's carried. And the last item on new business, presented to you guys last week for review, and this is the principles of government. Michigan Township Association is recommending that the board affirm that we're going to do this, and basically do a resolution, we're going to follow the principles of government, or governance in Kinross Township. I'll move.
I'll support.
Motion to support, do we have any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same thing. Motion's carried. We'll get the, you guys have the, you get the original?
Yeah, I have it right here.
Before you guys leave, make sure you sign that. So we get that taken care of close to Caleb. All right, nothing else, new business, public comment. What we got? Anything Anything else? Bob?
Going back to the 4-H center
Yes, sir.
thing. In your new agreement or contract with the 4-H, because it's my understanding that the 4-H council is the sole owner of the grounds out there.
They are not. The Kinross Township owns all the property. If we decide we can't continue that ownership, then it would revert back to 4-H. 4-H had in the lease agreement that they could use that property for 50 days a year. But we'd be responsible for all the upkeep and everything else. They would have to pay for it.
My understanding is that the property was deeded by the original owners to the 4-H.
It was. And then the 4-H deeded it to us. The original owners deeded it over in 1948, and then the 4-H council deeded it to Kinross Township in 78. No, 73. 73 or 78, somewhere in that. The lease
It
was
was like
after.
71, and then the lease came into effect somewhere.
That was 78.
Yeah.
So, but the 4-H council deeded it to the township. And I'm guessing it had something to do with what we discussed first. They don't have property. It may have had something to do with that at that time. I don't know. I can't answer that
That's
question.
new information.
So that's what the leases were. We have a deed. We have the deed to the property, and there's just a writer to the deed or a thing part of the deed that says we have to use it for a public purpose. So if we can't use it for a public purpose, that means it can go back to the original owners.
And all of the lease agreement is subject to the reverter.
Right.
So like the reverter is tied to the property.
Right.
So if we don't follow the lease agreement, it's subject to the reverter clause, goes back to the.
So that's one of the problems we had with the whole thing. If we didn't follow the lease, we wasn't going to go on purpose, it would go back. They don't want to take it, which I would make that assumption back when we first went into this discussion, but I want to make sure they had that opportunity to say, yeah, we'll take it or not take it. So, yeah, the Kinross Township actually owns it and the buildings on the property. Just the way the lease was worded, it made it not.
Well, that wasn't the lease that was, you got this lease here that was floated around for a while.
The lease
So,
came after the
my
deed.
mistake.
Either way, we own the property. So that's what the issues were coming.
Perfect. I was just gonna say that it needs to be, sanctified or whatever in the new contract so that when you give the fair board permission to build their building, that you actually have the right to give
Right.
them permission to build their building.
I agree. We'll be working on that. That's one of the things I think our lawyer was looking at too, is it made it kind of weird for us. She was, like everybody else, looked at the lease, not the deed, but the lease. Can't figure out why they signed that lease. None of it made sense because it wasn't fair to the township at all. That was 78 and I was still down in Detroit. Nothing to me. In fact, I wasn't even old enough to think about these things. That's the best word. Any other comments? Any questions about the budget as part of the public hearing for the budget? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing for the budget. Wait a minute, I guess board member comments. Sarah? Loretta?
We have a couple election inspector trainings coming up if anybody is interested. We really need helpers, so. And it is paid, so.
What is it?
There's 3 different ones, I believe March 7th, 16th, and 21st.
Yeah, it's
I appreciate it.
Sarah, anything? Matt?
I don't think I have any.
Isn't there an election in May?
Yeah, they said election.
A special election for
ISD.
ISD. All right, no other comments? Want to move from the board?